everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmarkies, and this is the show where we like to recap When Calls the Heart, and we are back with season 11. It's very exciting. Yeah. And it's a very strong premiere, in my opinion. I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Caroline is here.
Hey.
And Mary's here.
Hello.
And do you both agree with me? Do you think this was a strong premiere? What do you think, Caroline?
I think so. Like it felt like When Calls the Heart to me.
Yeah. Do you agree, Mary?
Yeah, there's that community feeling and new things are happening and moving forward. And it was strong.
Yeah. So let's dive in. Let's just talk about it. So the little summary says Elizabeth turns over a new leaf. Nathan returns home from an investigation while Bill questions its outcome, and Rosemary chases a scoop, and Lucas makes a surprise announcement. Like, it's not that often on this show that I'm like, check. I liked all of those subplots. Every single one. Including the one they don't even mention in the summary, but what goes on with Faith. Big fan.
Yes.
Big fan.
I was happy about that because I kept complaining to my husband that I'm holding on still to my hurt over Team Lucas, and I can move past that because they have, and so I need to move past it.
Yeah.
But when there were just little moments where I'm like, I can't go through this again. The will they, won't they, the looking, and I'm like, how many love stories do I need to see Elizabeth go through? Right. So that's my only caveat. But then he kept reminding me there are many, many fans out there that are super happy right now. So just let that go.
A lot more longing looks.
Yes,
and add to the montages.
Like when they're sitting on the at the very end on the step together, and she's like, "Oh yeah, oh, our shoulders are touching."
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, but the Faith storyline that we didn't know that was coming, did we?
Yeah, no, that was a surprise because when we did our preview, we talked about how there was only 2 new cast members on the cast sheet. Right. That was on the press site, and that was for the Nora, Watson, and Lily. I think we were kind of speculating, is this going to be a love interest, this Nora character? But I think I didn't realize how old the actress was, because I don't think she had a picture on her IMDb. So I don't think that's the case, but yeah, this little girl, what a win. Absolutely adorable.
So sweet.
I love her
so much.
Oh my goodness.
I've been saying for the longest time, like, I miss seeing little kids on the show. Like,
me too.
All we've had was little Jack, and he's adorable.
Yeah.
But I want some new little faces, and they delivered.
They really did with this little girl, and then and then seeing Goldie walk. I mean, come on.
That little girl is her cheeks. I wanted to kiss her little cheeks.
Adorable.
Oh my goodness, their little braided hair. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Well, so it starts out, we find out Lucas has been shot, and Elizabeth is going to Capital City to be with him, and that he had 2 bullets, because in the end of season 10, he just says it's Lucas, right? He didn't actually say it's been shot, right? That's what I thought. Yeah.
I thought he was hit by a car. Like, is that terrible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When going 10 miles an hour back then. Or it could have gone 20 or 30. That could be Yeah, because they just said it's Lucas, right? Yeah. And then they jump on their horses and run. So
yeah, 2 bullets.
So guess what I was thinking of? I've just finished a book about President Garfield, who I, to be honest, didn't know much about, but he was shot but died months later. The problem wasn't that the bullet was in. The problem was that the doctors kept fishing around for the bullet. So I was fascinated.
Infection.
Yes, and the infection. So I'm thinking of Lucas the whole time. They dug 2 bullets out. Did they wash their hands? Because
there's a new miniseries coming out about Garfield, which I think is going to be really interesting. Yeah, with I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it. But evidently he is the highest IQ of any president ever.
I believe it. After I read this book, I was like, he was smart.
Yeah.
But that was 1880, and the doctors and surgeons, it was a mess. But so this is 19 something.
Yeah, that if they had just left him be,
He would have been fine.
that he probably would have been fine. It's it's fascinating. It's fascinating
I need
stuff.
to watch. I love presidential history, like and all that stuff. So I'll have to.
Yeah, same. But Lucas survived. They took
if
out
you
the
ever want to see an interesting Broadway musical that's underappreciated, Stephen Sondheim has a musical called Assassins, which is all about, it's kind of a dark comedy. It's all about the various people over the years that have either tried or successfully assassinated the presidents. Which is obviously dark, but it's very interesting. It's very creative. They did it over at the Grand, the students a couple years ago, and it was so interesting. Anyway, but this is what's happened to Lucas. Oh my gosh. 2 shots, 2 bullets.
I know. And I saw like a behind the scenes picture of the filming where they were doing all the makeup on his pale face and pale hands as he's lying there.
Yeah.
Did anybody else get shades of Jack lying in the bed in the saloon with the thing? And he's like, I remembered that.
Yeah. And I was a little surprised that Faith didn't go with Elizabeth.
Yeah.
For that. I would think that she would go, but I guess somebody needs to hold down the fort since there's no other medical care in Hope Valley right now. But yeah, she stays with him, and she says, "Please come back to us," which I think was a nice moment, because I do think that the breakup felt kind of. I mean, I didn't mind the breakup too much, but I felt like her saying, when she says that she was settling, or something to that affair in the finale.
A safe choice.
Yeah, the safe. That's it. Yeah. The safe choice. I was like, she would not say that. You would need a little bit of perspective. You would need it to be, have a little bit of space. You wouldn't say that the day of the breakup. And so I didn't really, that felt a little cold to me, especially for Elizabeth. So I was glad that they gave us this kind of, this moment, of caring. I think was good.
I think they needed, it was needed that she go to his side, even if some people didn't like it. I thought it was needed because, I mean, they were together for what?
3 years.
Year? Yeah. And so
3 seasons.
That's true. So, and little Jack was there. That was sweet.
Yes, he asked about Buddy in the episode.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
And so Nathan's been gone. He is working on the case, trying to figure out what's going on. And of course, we've got this Montague who everybody suspects, but there's this guy, Clayton Pike, who's been captured.
Yes.
And so he's kind of your Lee Harvey Oswald in this whole thing.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, you do like the assassins.
I do.
Theme.
I just watched a conspiracy on JFK's, like all that stuff, and I was like,
it was
cool.
Well, so I've been doing this blind spot. I mean, I've been doing the blind spot for years, but me and my friend Monda have been doing like a podcast version of it this year, which has been super fun. And we did JFK, the movie JFK, in January, and that movie is fascinating, gripping, and it is extremely convincing that at the very least that he had more. It was more than him, for sure.
Something else.
Yeah. It is very, very interesting stuff. And
I had to watch that.
Yeah. Oh, you should. It's very well done. Extremely gripping. But yeah, so Rosemary was in peak form this episode. She was absolutely hilarious. The Rosemary that I love and adore. I just loved her so much when she was so mad at getting scooped. Benson Hill's beetle.
They picked the perfect name for a newspaper.
The Benson Hills Beagle. So I completely loved that, and I identified with that as a journalist, because it's like at some point you're all like, you're all colleagues, you're all friends, you're all writing stories, but then when somebody scoops you, you're like, what? That's my area, that's my person, that's my and you get so mad, and Lee's just kind of like, and Elizabeth are like, it's okay. She's like, it's not okay.
When she's beating the rug, like she's like, you're picking out all your frustrating
on the rug.
I was going to ask you, Mary, if you also deplore misplaced modifiers.
Oh my goodness. That made me laugh so hard. We were just talking about that yesterday in our newsroom, because I wanted to end a sentence with of, for example, and my copy editor's like, no dangling prepositions, and all that stuff. And I just thought misplaced modifiers. That was so funny.
Was
like,
so
who is he talking about? Lucas? Or
she's like, who's he? Is it? No, I don't understand. And Elizabeth's like, I'm pretty sure it's clear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Rosemary just solidifies herself every episode as one of my favorites. She's so dynamic and just.
But they had like a more emotional Rosemary last season, so it was nice to see her back to her old self. It was
I rewatched the season, the marathon, like some parts over the weekend. You know how they did on Hallmark Family, and watching early like Rosemary, I'm like, she's so beloved now. Like it's crazy. Like her character arc, like from hated to now like people's favorites. Pascal's the best.
Yeah, she's so good. And so and then they're getting their frustrations out on their rugs.
Yes. And then Elizabeth's like,
her
dust
did
come off. Yeah, her
cute little flip flop,
Yes.
Yeah. It's great. And so Elizabeth brings up the idea of maybe cutting her hair. And so what year is this supposually?
What did you say, Caroline?
1920?
20-ish. Yeah. Well, remember in Downton Abbey when Lady Mary cuts her hair in like a bob in the 20s. So it was like the flapper roaring 20s era, I thought in the mid to late 20s when they were doing more of the, but maybe not. Maybe it was early. Or maybe.
No, at least according to the internet, which is of course correct. That was the what they call it, the finger wave updo and the bob, the 1920s bob.
Yeah.
So that was totally a thing.
Yeah. Well, and is that her real haircut that we see on social media? Was she just wearing wigs and she was tired of it, or like go ahead.
She said before, like they do extensions, and so it damages her hair so much she has to cut it short. Like and you remember the wig in season 5?
My only regret was that she didn't have Robert cut her hair. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Well, because Rachel and I, when we did the preview, we forgot to address her short hair, and people were talking about it. So I think it's cute. I
think it's cute too.
Yeah. Good. Good for her.
Yeah.
Change for the character, and honestly, this happened to me in the past after I'd like break up with someone. And my best friend would always tell me when she would break up with someone in college, she's like, do not let me cut bangs. Because each time, because you just want to change, you just want something new. And she's like, remind me, no bangs. And it made me laugh.
It's so funny. My cousin, my aunt's like on social media a lot for her company, and that she was like, I could not believe my daughter Anne's hair when she came in this like transformation. And I'm like, what did she do? Did she like, get a pixie cut, or, like, what did she do? And then I'm like, she got bangs. Yeah. Like, what?
Well, Kevin really said in the interview, like Nathan got a mustache in season 9, so Elizabeth needed something too.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Oh, really? He said that?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A little balance.
Much better choice than the mustache.
Yeah. Thank goodness she didn't.
That was very bad. So then we have we have Hickam and May. They're like eating breakfast and just being adorable.
So cute.
Loved them so much.
They're in their sharing food stage, someone said.
Yes.
When he gives her half the muffin.
Yeah.
And then he brings her lunch at some point, buys her a bicycle.
He's like, I may never have time to eat again.
And did a head massage when she needed a
bike. Yeah, he did. He stepped in and helped her. His face was so favorite. Funny.
Yeah.
He is so kind.
He gets her a bike, a perfect bike for a perfect person.
Mm-hmm.
How adorable. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they are going to be the couple this season.
Mm-hmm.
Do we all agree? I think they're going to be we know there's a wedding. I just can't imagine it being anybody else.
Yeah.
Agree.
I know. They're the best.
Yeah. And so then we have more going on where we have the announcement that Fiona is helping the suffragettes. So do you know more about this, Caroline? Do you know what's going on with
Kayla?
Yeah.
She was on a movie or something during that time. I think
she's not gone for the whole season, just this beginning.
I honestly don't know, if it's the whole season or not, because it made it seem like it was the whole season. But then I saw someone say that Erin said she might come back. So I don't know what that means.
Oh. Yeah, because I mean, there haven't been any pictures of her on set at all that you've seen for season 11. Because I was thinking about it because when was season 11 was filmed a while ago, right?
Last July 2023.
Yeah, last summer.
During the strike. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so I was thinking, I was like, have we already seen whatever movie that she was in? Have we already seen it? Has it already come out?
It's like an indie movie, they said.
Oh, indie.
Okay. It's not a Hallmark.
Oh, okay.
And then she got a show.
Longer.
Yeah. And then she got a show. Landman, is that what it's called? With people who do Yellowstone and stuff.
Oh,
yeah. Let's see here. I'm looking her up. Yeah, Landman.
Kayla Wallace.
Oh, then Wingman. I guess that's
Wingman.
Indie.
That's the ending.
Oh, interesting.
And she didn't post anything after, because all the other cast posted pictures after the strike was over about the season and stuff like that.
Right.
She didn't post anything. I'm like, maybe she's not in season 11.
Yeah, they call it.
Then I looked on the Hallmark Press page, and she's not in, at least until season episode 3. She's not listed as a character. So I don't know.
She's not. But she's listed in episode 3.
No, she's not listed in episode 3. So
and that's what we have so far is.
Yeah, that's all we have so far is episode 3.
Got it.
When I Google her, there's all these articles, her abrupt exit, is she leaving? That sort of stuff.
Right. So I don't know, I was a little surprised by that. But
and it's totally Fiona to do something with the suffragettes, though. That's totally in the realm of possibilities,
It's definitely a believable out. So they did a good job with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Fiona, her storylines haven't been my favorite over the last couple of seasons.
She hasn't had much to do, or
they haven't known what to do with her. Well, it was so weird when they had her involved with the whole business thing. It just didn't make any sense. Why is she with all this with Gowan? And it was.
And then she got in trouble. She ended up causing all the trouble and all that stuff. So I didn't really like that.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was kind of funny to me, this whole scene between Nathan and Allie, when Allie's like, well, I was going to go hang out with Angela, but I guess I can hang out with you if you really want me to.
It's like, let's go fishing. She's a teenage girl. She's like, I kind of want to hang out with girls. And
well, and he's just like, well, I guess I got nothing to do.
yeah.
Bless his heart.
That was cute.
It was funny.
I'm excited for more teenage Allie and Nathan
Me too.
like drama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be
I would love
funny.
if they gave some of these these great teenage actors that we have now some like a little more like meat on the bones, now I'd love for Opal to get a good storyline. I'd love to, some real like let them show. I mean, we've seen Ava Grace Cooper do some really wonderful acting in other roles. So, let's it's been a bit. So let's see her get like a real arc. That would be so fun.
They did an ET interview before the season, and Kevin said that Allie has a storyline coming up that's gonna, like he said, break people's hearts. So
well, they
involving her bio dad.
Well, they kind of toyed with her being like interested in, was it Robert?
I thought it was Robert.
Mm-hmm.
So but maybe that was like a teenage crush. Yeah. But those greater family dynamic kind of, because she did come from that troubled, situation. If they explore that.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. And then we have Rosemary. I think this new look is more than just spring cleaning for Elizabeth.
And then she's like, because was that when she was behind her fingering her hair, and she's like, so what do you think? And Elizabeth starts going on, well, I don't know, I haven't talked to him yet. And she goes, I wasn't talking about Nathan. Like she was just talking about her hair. Right. And Elizabeth's like, oh yes, my hair. And
so
and then what was the Bob call that they were Rosemary was trying to get her to do? Forget.
That's right. Yes.
Eaton Bob or something like that.
Oh yeah. From the award-winning author of B'nai Mitzvah Mistake comes a story of the things that tie us together, the things that separate us, and what happens when fake dating gives two people a real shot at forgiveness. The Dating Contract is the second book in Stacey Agdern's Last Girl Standing series and is available from Tool Publishing and wherever books are sold. For more about Stacey, go to her website, staceyagdern.com. That's staceyagdern.com, or use the affiliate link below. Then we have Minnie. She is very worried about Faith because Faith is like really lonely about Fiona and just feeling, she's just worried about her. It was very sweet. Minnie is such a sweet character. I really love her character.
Minnie.
Yeah.
She just feels for others and notices, because a lot of times you can be wrapped up in, she's got a lot on her plate, as a wife of a pastor and a mother in this cafe. But she notices other people's needs and what they're feeling. And she can see that, about Faith, and she draws it out of her, which was beautiful.
Yeah. And if people are interested in Minnie, you should check out this week, our interview with Natasha Burnett. And it's very exciting. This movie, I mean, I was already excited for this Legend of the Lost Locket movie, but after talking to her, I'm even more excited because it was her and Viv's idea. They came to it. They presented it. They did. And it's her first lead, which is so exciting.
It'll be great. I cannot wait.
Yeah. I'm glad Hallmark is like pairing the Blink Also Heart like people up these first couple of weeks, with movies. It helps with cross promotion and stuff.
That was great. Yeah.
I really hope that it does well because I always want, these movies to do well, but I so far, for some reason, all the Mahogany movies have all been, and this isn't a Mahogany movie, but their diverse output that they've been doing the last couple of years have all been with unknowns. This is like the first time that we have seen them cast these two people that we know so well and that we love and we know have chemistry together. And so I just really, really, really hope it does well, and I really hope it's good because I just love them, and it would be nice for the network to see that.
Hopefully the Hardy people will come out and support. So
I hope so. I really do. And so she was great. I really thought it was a good interview, and so then we have a little bit with Lucas. Edwin is there, like helping him. And he says nothing like an assassination attempt to boost popularity. Which was funny about.
Like it's all political.
And Lucas is like, well, like I'd rather it not. Like,
I like Edwin. I'm a big fan.
I do too.
He's good. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe I need to get that actor on the show because I like him. He's funny. It's always nice on this show when you have these actors who come in and just do a lot with like a very on paper nothing role, but they bring a lot of personality, and that's what I felt with Edwin. You know, he just brought a spark to it.
It seems like he'll be more involved with Lucas, so that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, I like that. And then so Lucas he says that he wants to give an exclusive to the Valley Voice. So he's Rosemary's best friend. We're doing this.
I think that was like when he told Edwin that he's like the voice, like I thought, are you picking the Valley Voice over the Benson Beal? But
yeah,
it was funny.
So we get a little scene between Lucas and Henry, and Gowan says that, oh, I'm a felon. I can't join your team. I'm heading for a more quiet life. And then Lucas says, you did your time, Henry. So I'm curious, Mary, do you think that we're not going to see that much of Henry this season? Or do you think that he'll come around and end up working with Lucas? Or
I know. They leave that door open for him because Lucas is like, I need you. I want you. But but then it's kind of like we've left either door open for that flexibility.
Yeah.
But if it's already been shot, then it's like they're not doing it. I have to remember they're not doing it one at a time. Like somewhere, somehow, somebody knows what's going to happen with him. And I'd like to see more of him for sure. He's really had so much of a journey and an arc, more so than many of the other characters. But can we go back to the Henry Gowan well and wring some more out of this guy? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Like what else is left for this character he's done so much heavy lifting on the show, in my opinion.
Is it time for someone else to kind of,
Yeah. What do you think, Caroline, about that? What do you think Henry is gonna?
I think he's gonna come back to Hope Valley and maybe like help Lucas out in Hope Valley. You know what I mean? Like not be directly involved, but like still being able to help.
Yeah.
Because I saw a clip or something. Joseph and Henry were talking like in Hope Valley, so he does go back to Hope Valley at one point.
Cute. He's so good with kids, Martin.
I know.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, that's good. Okay, good. And so let's see here. I did think it was pretty amazing that they have this whole plot of the planets aligning.
Yeah. This is the eclipse happening that same day.
Yeah. Because you figure they couldn't have planned that. When they filmed this last summer, that
if they knew we're going to be debuting on this day and the solar eclipse is predicted for the next, but things can be moved around on TV schedules, so
I'd be surprised if they knew that was the air date, but maybe, you never know. They did announce the new season very, very early, which surprised me at the time that they announced it so early. But I was just like, wow, that was like perfect. And he says the planets are the brightest when they align in the sky.
And right when COVID happened, like at the beginning of lockdowns, they had the lockdowns with the chicken pox. Remember that?
Yes.
So I was like, that's kind of creepy. Like they're predicting something like that.
Yes. If they have an earthquake next in Hope Valley, then though they had that explosion that shook everything, so we'll call it good. What other natural disasters or natural phenomenon can they have?
Hurricane.
They had that that earthquake in New York this week.
Yeah,
that was wild.
Taiwan. Yeah,
my friend Conrado, we were recording together. He lives in Queens, and he was just like, "You're never gonna believe this. There was just an earthquake."
Oh man,
it was a pretty big one too.
Well, the Taiwan one was bigger, but I always point out that because most of the biggest news organizations in the country are centered in New York,
Yeah.
we're going to see a more New York emphasis on Eastern Coast kind of.
So
but at
unusual.
that timing,
it's so unusual in New York too. You know,
that's
if that
true.
was like California or even
that's
Utah,
true.
it would be less unusual than
than
and
New
we've been getting earthquakes here in South Carolina, like frequently.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're not big,
yeah,
but I can still feel them sometimes.
Yeah, we had one not that long ago. I don't think it was that big, but we did have one. I think it was the last year. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But the it's kind of like when we had a tornado in Utah a couple of years ago.
It was
and it was just kind of like, what? This doesn't happen here. This is not the Midwest. Like,
yeah, that was so bizarre. That was 1999, actually.
Yeah, I was at BYU, so yeah, that's right.
Yeah, me too. And that was crazy. Yeah. Whereas in Missouri, where I'm from, you are constantly, you just go under the basement, wait it out, and go back upstairs. Or sometimes my parents would be like, it's the next town over. I was like, I don't know. I think we should go.
It's like my dad. He's like, we don't need to worry about.
The sky's purple.
Yeah.
I think we should go.
So we get this Dora. I think I said Nora earlier. Sorry, Dora Watson, granddaughter Lily, into town, and Dora is having problems breathing, and she's struggling, and so we get some different scenes with her, and eventually they end up sending her to the hospital, and so then little Lily, she ends up staying with Faith, and then Dora ends up writing a letter saying that would Faith care for Lily while she's in the hospital. So yeah, like we said, this is great plot.
Mm-hmm. It's so great. Faith was lonely. She needs companionship or something to do, or and then there's this sweet little girl who seems to immediately connect with her and look to her as like a kind of this caretaking kind of figure. And she's so cute.
She called her Dr. Faith. Oh my God. Not Dr. Carter, Dr. Faith. Oh my God.
Dr. Faith, yes. She's seen her take care of her grandmother. She trusts her. Anybody else think I'd forgotten that she was having trouble breathing, because I watched this in 2 parts. When she was laying on the floor of the mercantile at the store, I was like, that looks like a panic attack, maybe she just needs, but it was Faith knew, Dr. Carter, that it was something more serious. And
I think she's going to end up with like pneumonia or something like that.
Yeah. Takes a long time to.
Yeah. It's just going to be nice to have Faith have a plotline that doesn't involve a man,
yes.
I think that's going to be really good.
And that little girl is precious. Like, how can you not fall in love with her?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been waiting for them to do what I call like a Love Comes Softly sort of plot line on One Calls the Heart, with like a character adopting an older child, and then the older child ends up becoming a main character kind of a thing. But they've never really done that too much. I mean, I guess you had Abigail with
Cody.
Cody.
Yeah.
So you had that, I guess, but it's been a while. So I think it's just a smart plot.
Yeah. And she's old enough to go to school, right? Will she then be in school with the other kids? I didn't recognize some of them when they were all looking at the modules of the planets. There were a couple in the background. I wasn't sure if I remembered who they were.
A couple of new ones they did, so that was sweet.
Yeah, because our main crop are now all getting pretty grown up.
There was 2
for that
era. Cute little girls in the front row, and I'm like, oh, they're cute too, like cute little faces.
Yeah,
we needed some new opals and
yes, we do
and stuff. So yeah,
I agree.
Opal's always going to be my favorite, though.
Yeah,
I know, with her little bear.
Yeah, when Jack saved her from the fire.
Fire,
precious.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I love when she's eating all the chocolates.
Yes.
Opal. That's,
We
that's my favorite
had fun with
episodes.
the kids last season when they discovered the hot springs. And
Yeah, that was fun.
That's true.
But are we going to see the hot springs again, or do you think?
That's what I
They
was
did
wondering.
mention them.
Okay.
But, well, because there's this resort that Lucas is going to talk about. So I kind of think maybe we might.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I had thoughts about that resort. So
yeah, well, excuse me. But I died. This whole conversation between Bill and Rosemary was so funny. I love this scene. When he's like, is it my imagination or are you following me around?
Yes, she shows up in his office. Then he leaves his office.
He's like, this is your office.
And he's like, I'm not doing this.
Because he's been talking to Nathan, and Nathan tells him, like, well, it wouldn't be a problem if an ex-Mountie just happened to want to be looking into this, situation.
Requested the case file, and he's like,
Hargraves closed it. I think something's going to happen with Hargraves later on.
Yeah, so because Madeline had told him that there was something up, going on, and so then he tells that to Nathan, and so they're still looking into Montague.
Yeah, I mean, who else?
It's logical. Yeah,
of course.
He's the
one that has the motivation,
right?
Yeah.
Someone said they thought it was Jeanette at first. So that would be a plot twist. Like, you remember Jeanette? Lucas's friend Jeanette. We never seen her face, but he's her friend.
Oh,
that's a deep cut.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I love seeing theories and stuff on social media.
Those are the people that will come on and be like, you missed this, like tiny little detail, like why is it's like it's live, it's a live discussion here, we're not going to catch everything. We're not we're not the writers, creators, like we that's part of the discussion, like we want you to come in and add the things that you saw, and that because we're only three humans who've watched the episode one time.
Yes.
Or maybe more than that for Caroline.
I watched it this morning so I could have it fresh.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, smart.
That's good. That's good. But I love that scene between Bill and Rosemary. That was,
oh my goodness,
really
she was so good. She's like, so you're saying this? And he's like, no, I'm not saying that. But and she's like, so it's this. She was so good.
Getting Nathan on the record.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
What do you think about him downplaying it? Yeah. Like, his role.
Sorry, say that again.
Nathan, like she's trying to get him on the record, but he keeps downplaying his role and everything. Is that because he thinks I think so. Yeah.
Close. And he doesn't want, I guess, Lucas to get hurt again. So he's kind of trying to keep it, hush.
Well, and he is a pretty humble guy. He's not one that likes a lot of attention. And I think it goes with, like, I remember my grandpa, when you'd talk about like his service in the war and stuff, he would just be like, I was just doing my duty. Like, that's how he saw it. He didn't see it as anything special and that was better than anybody else. And I think that some people do feel that way. It's like, I don't deserve any praise. I was just doing my job.
Yeah.
That makes sense, especially for Nathan.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lucas does the live broadcast. He's like the FDR of
yes, that's exactly what I thought. Like, it reminded me of. FDR.
Yeah, King George. With the nighttime addresses, and but
Fireside chat.
He's got to be one of the only good man of business who wants to build a resort that's not a villain in Hallmark.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And they want the resort to come, like Hope Valley.
Yeah.
So they're like they're not trying to keep it away.
Yes.
Like
holding
bring it
meetings.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that one movie with Eric Mabius where they like totally gaslight him and they're trying to get him to like resort. It's like, what is this?
The Christmas movie?
Yeah. It was yes. Oh my gosh. Though I'm curious about this public-private partnership and tax funds being used, and then where does the revenue go? I don't know. Maybe that's something that Rosemary will look into, or maybe not, because it's all going to be fine and help them. But
well, it's from Lee's. Like Lee gave them the land, so
yes. So this whole idea. So it wasn't like eminent domain where the government's like, for the good of the, we're taking it. So Lee gave it. So yeah. I'm a little skeptical of how tax funds are used sometimes. So, I'm saying all of this, and my husband's like, "It's a show. You're going to be okay."
It's Hope Valley.
We got to ask the tough questions.
Yeah, I'm like, Rosemary needs to ask tough questions about where this money's going to be used. Yeah. But Lucas isn't a big bad guy of business, so we can trust that. Yeah,
of Rosemary agreeing to because Elizabeth goes to the salon. And only Robert is there, who's taking a correspondence course.
He's like, "Oh, I'll come back when you're not busy." And he's like, "I'm not busy now."
Yeah.
Of course, like at this time, I think it wouldn't have been uncommon for barbers to be men. I don't think that would have been I don't think it was a female profession at the time.
Right.
How can you do correspondence for cutting hair? It just makes me laugh. Like you're going to cosmetology school. It's online. Like, I'm good.
Right. I mean, I could see I could do it now because everything can be like filmed and,
yeah.
Back then
it was just like a series of pictures, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
But I also feel like it's the kind of thing that I know that people have instruction and it's very helpful and certifications and stuff, but I also think it's something you just kind of have to get a lot of practice in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, Elizabeth as the teacher, she really should have.
Yeah. Oh, cattywampus. Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like a bob cut like that. I think almost anybody that just like lining it up, like it's not like there's lots of complicated layers and stuff
exactly.
like that,
Though I will say that when the pandemic started and I really needed a trim, I asked my husband to help. So he just trims along the back. But then when he put it in front, this side was longer than this side. So he's like, well, I'm just, so it started going, and I was like, stop, we're just going to work with this. Like, so maybe, if he was practicing would have been like, uh-oh, and then,
That's funny.
I've seen on Instagram these like husbands are using their levels and stuff to cut their wives' hair. I'm like, I would not trust anyone. Yeah, I have a traumatic experience when me and my brothers were 4 years old. One of my brothers cut my hair, and it was so uneven. The girl had to cut my hair as short as Elizabeth's hair, and I had long curly hair. And my curls didn't come back the way they were. My mom was so upset.
Oh,
30 years later, we still talk about it. So
yeah, that's what you get for being a triplet.
That's exactly. And I was the guinea pig. I was the guinea pig. Yeah. So, that's what my hair looked.
Well, so she ends up asking Rosemary, and Rosemary says, "If there's one thing I know is how to make a woman beautiful." More
beautiful.
And Elizabeth says, "I'm so grateful that everyone who matters to me is safe." And then Rosemary says, "We aren't talking about Lucas, are we?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and is she ready to take the plunge?
I don't know. It's going to take several episodes of
And then, so Elizabeth says, Nathan just got home. I don't know if he even has feelings for me anymore. And Rosemary says, I was talking about your hair.
Yes, ready to take the plunge. And she's like, well, I don't know.
That's a good scene. That's good.
Yeah.
They're so good together, Erin, Pascal.
Really, they really are. So good. And so then Minnie talks to Faith, and Faith says, I'm a little lonely. I have a great life, but seeing my friends make these huge changes in their lives, finding their way without me makes me a little lonely. And then Minnie says, you may feel lonely, but you aren't alone. And that's just something that it was a really good line. And I wish that we, like, as a society, were more comfortable with people expressing this kind of thing, because I feel like sometimes as a single woman, I feel like I always have to be playing the strong, independent card. And then as soon as I say, boy, I really wish I had a partner for this, or I really wish that, that would be really nice, then it's immediately like, oh, but look, you can do all these things by yourself, and you can do, like, you have such a great life. And I'm like, yeah, I know I do. But like, it would
be nice.
I admit that, yeah.
And like, people feel lonely. That's a very, and you can feel lonely in a relationship too. I get that, but I don't know. I just sometimes I get tired of always playing the independent, strong card.
I love that you're bringing this up. There have been studies that show that loneliness is a severe, like, public health concern, like worse than smoking or whatever.
Yeah.
I think about friendships and your whole, the conversations you have on the podcast about friendships, but this idea of, especially for someone who doesn't have family nearby or good, solid, friendships to lean on, and here one of Faith's has been taken away in a time when you really couldn't communicate that easily, but even in person versus, online or, distant kind of relationships, it's like, that's a big thing to think about. And yes, you might see the world or these others saying, be this strong, independent person. Well, yeah, but you can still say, I need more in my life, and that's okay. And that's actually science fact based and research backs that up. So,
And Faith's other friend is like just in a relationship. And like, so it's kind of hard because you're like, okay, I have May, but May's with Hickam.
That trio is kind of broken.
Like, all of my friends are all married. And like, I'm the only one so that's like, they all have families and stuff. So I get that feeling like, okay, like, they have their spouse now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like, a lot of times I end up getting +1s when I am asked to review a show for as a critic, a theater show. And oftentimes it ends up going unused because I don't have anybody that's available, that's a friend, and I don't have anybody. And that, it does sting a little bit sometimes. It hurts. And I guess I just feel like I can't sometimes express that because people just get really concerned, which I appreciate the concern, but you know what I mean?
We get uncomfortable with vulnerability or uncomfortable with, those kinds of emotions, mask it, fake it,
Yeah. And I know that was a real struggle for a lot of people during the pandemic. I mean, that as hard as the physical, struggle was, the social struggle was equally as hard, if not harder.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, Faith can write letters to Fiona, but it's not the same as having someone there as a friend, to be with or to hang out with or to talk to.
And someone you've known for 4, 5 years now. That she's
right. Yeah. So then this is when Mrs. Watson, when she ends up collapsing and Ned, finds her and they take her to the hospital and then we also see Elizabeth shows off the new hair and Nathan's like, you look great.
The slow stand and stare.
And the way they shot it was cool. It was like we were Elizabeth in that moment, looking like around. That was cool.
It was a good longing look. I guess that one to add to the montages
because I'm
sure
gonna
they already
need
did.
Yes.
What's their hashtag? Because we had Luca Beth. What's Elizabeth and Nathan?
What is their?
I've seen Granton, like Granton.
I don't know if I like that.
No, I don't like that.
It's not my favorite.
Granton, why?
So Nathan Grant, and Elizabeth Thornton.
They called it the Granton error.
Oh no, we need to workshop that. Put in the comments if you have a better couple name. I can't believe we've gone this long without like a solid couple name for Elizabeth and Nathan.
I don't like Nathan. Like I don't, because he's not Nate. Like he's Nathan. Elizabethan.
Elizabeth the Nathan. This is rough.
Oh yeah.
Because usually it's easy to combine some people's names.
Because you can't just use his job because that's confusing with Jack. So because you couldn't be like
Mountie Beth.
Mountie Beth. Like, oh wow.
I've seen teacher and Mountie. But they're not just their jobs.
It's too long though.
Yeah. It is too long.
Oh, this is a struggle.
But you don't want to be Nathan Beth because that's too similar to Luca Beth.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah. So then we get to know more about this big plan, like we talked about with the. It's going to be a grand fund to build popular tourist attractions across the valley, for the first in Hope Valley, and the Lees providing the land and the hotel and resort, and it's a private and public venture. So. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I know.
I can't wait to see more of Lucas as governor. Like that's the storyline. Like I'm excited for everything, but it'll be fun to see him in a political role and it not be bad. Because most politicians we see are always bad.
Yeah,
and so
I still think it's hilarious that there are no governors in Canada.
Oh, did you just love the like virtual reality, like capital city background, the quick establishing shot?
Yeah.
I was like,
it looked just like Union City, like whenever or Hamilton.
Yes, that's right. Maybe it.
Yeah. I mean, they've been going crazy with that lately. Did you watch the Easter Blooms movie?
Oh, not yet. It's on the
greens. I mean, I didn't mind it actually. It wasn't. Yeah. It was okay, but they had some green screen that was like clearly this was filmed in like the winter because they had to like green screen in the tulips and it was
darn it.
Yeah. It's not good. But anyway, and so then is when we see Lily staying with Faith, and that was just so cute, and she's telling the story of the magical stethoscope.
It's really cute. That was cute. She falls asleep.
Yeah, and this is when we see Goldie walking. Adorable.
Oh my gosh.
Love that. They were like,
and Lee's little nickname for her, 18-karat Goldie. I'm like,
oh yes.
So cute.
Our daughter's a genius. She's a genius.
He's a perfect girl dad. Like that's what I wanted for them for the longest time, like a little girl, and it's perfect.
It's really good. They're really good. And so then there's this whole scene with them all watching the planets align. And like you said, Nathan and Elizabeth getting real cozy. and it's so beautiful. And Nathan,
it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Put it in the montage.
Yes.
Do y'all follow Ben Rosenbaum on Twitter, X, whatever you call it now? And he's like, get you someone who looks at you during planet alignment like Nathan looks at Elizabeth.
Yeah. It was very swing worthy.
Oh, yeah.
Very cute.
I will say that baby Goldie is a great actress because my babies at that age, if somebody else was holding them, they'd be like screaming. She's just calmly looking at the planets, and it was so cute, that little family. Yeah. And all of them on the porch. And I thought of that line from White Christmas. Isn't this cozy? Boy, girl, boy, girl. Yeah. Because then he's like, I'll just sit down right here.
Yeah, like Elizabeth had a seat open. Like, ooh.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I think you mentioned in the preview, Mary, about how they got Nathan quite a bit outside of his Mountie uniform.
Yes.
He was looking real good there with his suspenders
his little
and
his shirt.
There were a lot of those scenes. Remember when he was looking for Scout and he's going in between the houses, and he was a fair amount in that.
I think that must be on purpose, because he doesn't need to be Mountie all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, just compared to Jack, because Jack was almost always in his
surge.
In his uniform. So, but there we go. That is this premiere. And really looking forward to the season. I thought it was a very strong start. I would give it I don't know, for this show and what it does, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was very strong.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, and then there's plenty of people that'll give it 10 out of 10 because they're so happy it's back, and it's just so we hear you.
Well, let us know what you think of the premiere. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. For 2 weeks is kind of how we do it on this podcast. But yeah, let us know again what you think. And we've got that Natasha Burnett interview coming, so make sure to check that out and support her movie this weekend. And Caroline, where can people find you?
At Twitter, X, whatever. At me to Caroline R.
Great. And Mary, what about you?
At _Mary Richards on Twitter, X. Instagram is Mary Richards Reports. Facebook, look for reporter Mary Richards.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you check out our preview. Like I said, the interview with Natasha, all our When Calls the Heart content. We would sure be grateful. We've been recapping ever since season 5, I think was our first official year where we're doing every episode. So we got lots of When Calls the Heart going on the podcast. So take a look at that and check out our Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support us. We really, really, really need those contributions, and I think we make it well worth your effort if you sign up. And we have the merch store. You can get some Hardy's inspired merch, including some new designs. Very exciting. So check it out. And that's everything we got. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.